Okay, so Dan Meyer, right? Hey, I need people at home to be able to hear us for a moment. So what we're about to do is check over 921 and 922, and because of that, I'm going to pause the Desmos activity for a minute, and then we're just doing Desmos today to practice our surface area and volume work. So pause. Yeah, you all love me, I know. So 921. Yes, I know I'm scrolling. Please make sure that area measurements use units squared. Volume measurements use units cubed. And the length measurements just use the units that you have. By the way, if anyone was absent either of the past 2 days, come get those papers that you missed from me. So, both days or just one? Just yesterday. Have some cake. But the cake is all right. Which days? 921. It's in my classroom. You'll have to get their extensions. Because they're having class in there, so we can go. By the way, my no-name board, it's probably better since this morning, but my no-name board has a lot of stuff on it. Why do you have headphones on? Maybe you put them on because you thought the video needed sound. Nah, I'll tell you guys that you need headphones if you need headphones. All right, questions on 921. If it's not done, obviously you're... Oh, by the way, you guys want to know how many classes made the goal from last week? If everyone turns in their homework goal? Big fat goose egg. None. Goose egg. Yeah, 0 classes got all of their homework turned in. And remember, if you were absent, that does not count. I did not expect you to turn your homework in if you weren't here, duh. Right? You can't turn your homework in if you're not here. So I noted who was absent, but do not go on a witch hunt of who didn't turn their homework in. Every single class, it was multiple people. Every class, there were multiple people that did not turn in their homework on time, and actually some of those people still haven't turned their homework in. So what we're going to switch to is a 4-way competition, 1A, 1B, 3A, 3B, all of you versus each other, so it's you guys versus the other 3 classes, for highest percentage of work turned in. Now, yes, that's going to ebb and flow of how fair it is, but guys, get over it. You chose to be in the accelerated class, and you continue to choose to be in the accelerated class. So the fact that you guys owe me 4 homeworks and the other class owes me 3 homeworks, tough. You're in the accelerated class. That's to be expected. So do not whine to me, that's not fair. They only have 3. You're in the accelerated class. Welcome to Things Aren't Always Equitable. That doesn't mean it's not fair. This is not equitable that they have 3, you have 4. Because the classes aren't the same. They shouldn't be equitable. Yours should be tougher. You're covering a 1.5 years of math in 1 year. Questions on these problems. Answers you got wrong and you really can't figure out why you got it wrong. Now, all of that to also say, if we end up not being at school tomorrow and you wouldn't have been ready to turn your homework in, there's your gift of extra time to get it done. Also, we just had a 3-day weekend. That was a gift of extra time that I feel like some of you used well and some of you did not use well. Just a sneaking suspicion from what grades I've updated. My grades are up to date, guys, except for what's in the bin now as of right now. But my grades were up to date as of lunch, today. I know I was gone for the past 2 days. My grades are up to date. Joe. Yes, they're there now. Yep, sorry, I got a tiny bit behind. Nobody let me know that I hadn't made that folder visible to you guys. But also what's on Schoology, in case you missed one of the past days, is I put the cross-sections video up. I don't know if this is the one that Mr. Lappel ended up showing or not, but this is a pretty decent cross-section video. And also you can go search on your own. Guys, if you're going to ask me for help and tell me you've done nothing on your own to try to help yourself, I'm going to tell you to go do something on your own to help yourself. Put in some effort. I'm not going to do this for you. You are not a baby bird. baby birds, their mama eats the food and then vomits it into their mouth, and it's gross, and you're not a baby bird. I will not vomit food in your mouth for you. Yeah, right? But that's what some of you are essentially asking for when you're like, tell me what to do. When you say, I don't know what to do, some of you are saying, tell me what to do. If you don't know what to do something about it. Look it up, check your math notes, check previous homework. I'm going to move on because no one's asking questions. So 922. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. On both sides.
I knew it was
To get ourselves some treats? Sweets. I think treats. Because it's not all sweets. Questions? And if you don't have it done, obviously, you're probably not checking this to ask questions. Yeah. Whoa. What problem? Okay, because there's multiple A's on here for this one. Go ahead. So what it is asking us, use pyramid shown at the right to answer the questions below. And if you thought this was E-word and you didn't pay attention to the video, you might need to go back and watch that video. And yeah, I know I had a guest teacher. Mr. Lapple's not used to teaching this stuff because he actually teaches higher math. Guys, from a rectangular prism, I could get a triangle. I'm going to say this again for the people in the back. From a rectangular prism, I could get a triangle if I cut the corner off. If you've never done any work in the kitchen, this might be tougher, but also in my PBS math videos. So in one of the folders on Schoology, there are PBS math videos, and they have a funny video about it's like a super slicer something. It's like a joke infomercial. Oh, maybe I need to add it to your guys' page. But yeah, so PBS also has a really great video. But some of you might need to come back and watch the this cross-sections video. Because he goes through and talks about, okay, if we slice it different directions, it's not just straight through. Right? So, obviously, with a pentagonal prism, if I slice it straight across, ba-boom, 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 right? Straight across, I get a pentagon. How could I get a triangle? If I slice a corner off down here, down the front, down the back, and across the bottom, right? Because there'd be two. You could get sorry, it's easier to draw if I draw it here. So if I cut there, and across here, you could get a triangle there. So you guys got to start getting creative. So if a pyramid were sliced vertically, but then they talk about horizontally. So vertically is up and down. Right, so vertically down the front, down the back, and across the bottom. Right, that would give us a triangle. Then horizontally is where they get pentagon. So their key might slightly have things in the wrong place. Oh, okay, so that was the tricky part. It's not just vertically through the apex, it's any vertical slice. So now, guys, if you just put triangle, you're not wrong. But you want to think about, okay, what if I do a different vertical slice? And I could slice through here, down there, down that back face, and across the bottom. I could get a trapezoid. Did I bring any pyramids in here? No, because I forgot that you guys were doing pyramids. But yeah, we'll do a lot more practice with this stuff. You shouldn't be mastered on it yet. We just started it like 2 days ago. But yeah, we can get a lot of different shapes slicing through these things. So like, here's a good example of like stuff that I drew just trying to help figure out what we could get. Triangle off the bottom, square off the middle, trapezoid if we slice diagonally. You could get a triangle. It's really light purple. You could get a triangle if you went through the apex. All right. if you have more questions, would love to take those, but I'm going to go ahead and unpause the activity in case we don't have any more questions and you want to go ahead and start this activity. They got 192.
You said 9.21 was in your classroom, right?
Yeah, extra copies of it, yeah. Because that's from last week. So, I do want to review one other thing as we're getting into this. Now, it doesn't help with A, but surface area, and I would just have to go through and redo all the math. But, like, the front is going to be 4 times 2. And then remember, 4 times 12. And remember, we have 2 of those because the front and the back, we have 2 of those matching. Remember, you only get one chance to pull it down. Then as soon as you start going back up, it goes up, right? All right, so then the right...
Yeah, I forgot to multiply. I did all that. I forgot to multiply by 2.
So yeah, it'd be 4 times 12, 4 times 3, and 3 times 12. And then we double all of that. Now, guys, volume. Actually, I should re-pause your activity. Which means I'm gonna. On your homework tonight, it would be a really good idea for you to write this. Volume equals big B times H. Now, in math, when we use capital letters, there's often an important reason why we did that. If you are choosing not to write this down, that is an interesting choice. I can't control you, though. Big B, on top of sounding like a rapper name, Big B, is the base area. Now, why did I put base in quotations? A lot of you are still falling in the trap of thinking base means bottom. Base does not mean bottom. Here in this shape, the base is this face because our base has to have a clone, an identical base, on the opposite side connected by rectangles. Right, so all of these, and we started talking about prisms last week, all of these are prisms, but none of them have the same bases. Because the base is the shape that has the identical shape on the other side. So actually with a rectangular prism, you could call any of these faces the base, because they're all rectangles. But for a pentagonal prism, and this is why I have my camera higher on my desk normally, rectangle, rectangle, none of these are the same, because also the bases have to be parallel with each other. So in this shape, even if it was sitting like this, what is the base? It's the pentagon. What is the base of this shape? It's the triangle, because it's on both sides. So this is not like a homework problem. Who did why? I don't know why it did that. Not my board, though. So, identify the shape that is the base. You're going to need to remember that the base has a clone on the other side, and they are both parallel to each other. All right, now let's get into popcorn picker. It's not a prism. You can have bases of other types of shapes, but if we're talking about prisms, they got to be parallel. I'm going to try really hard to give you guys time to work before I interact too much with you, but you probably are going to want some graph paper out, and if you are trying to do your homework right now, that's not what we're doing. We're doing Desmos. What up? Right, and expression to represent the total cost. I would just do it again right here, which is one combined expression. Don't erase those, but I would just put them together.
So what should I do? Just write like in highlighters?
I mean, you can still just write it in pencil, because I'm going to remember that we talked. Like, I don't forget that stuff that quickly, but I would just write, like, and together, or all together, or total equals. You know, because you did 2 separate expressions for the 2 different purchase things, like the fruit or whatever we're doing in that problem. total, we want this plus that,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Hers is gone, so you're gonna have to go somewhere else. Sorry, like you can go look from other teachers. You can check my room, but my bet is somebody probably already took it. Mine is in front of my dry erase board in my room. Ooh, we're all here. Sweet. Nope, wait. Mary Somerville, and I can't even move my thing, and I'm recording. So I don't really want to show your name in the recording. Oh, it's probably just because we got people absent. Hey, John Sims, go back. Terrence Tao, go back. Sophie Germain, go back. Yeah, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
I'll come help you with. You're probably stuck in the loop of Desmos. Sometimes there's like a weird infinite loop.
Wait, what?
Robots. Guys, your brain can only keep track of so much at once, and even with the help of a calculator, I'm telling you, use graph paper to keep track of your working numbers. Now, we are going to round this, but we're also going to agree to use 3.14 for pi. We're also going to agree, if you're going to ask me about the homework, you need to sit down and identify this is not the right time or place. I am actively teaching. Tom. I just gave it to you. Well, cylinder, sphere, no, that's 4/3 pi r cubed. You don't know that yet. But cylinder, big B times H. Did you write that down or did you make the interesting choice? Well, sucks to be you. So maybe now you'll care to write down the volume formula that any prism, and a cylinder is a prism. Any prism, volume is big B times H. But what is the base shape of a prism? Or, sorry, what's a base shape of a cylinder? Circle, right? There is our popcorn. Oh, you could have thrown it and then made me drop it again. Our popcorn is a cylinder. The base of it is a circle. So we need to first figure out this base area. And to do that, we need the radius. Now, if this was a piece of paper. Everything's all too tight now. If this was a piece of paper measures 8.5 by 11. So our red shape here, what curled up to make the cylinder is the 11, meaning the 11 is our, if that's the distance around, that's our circumference. So the work we need to be doing here is circumference equals 11. What is our formula for circumference? Crust equals pi dough. Sorry that my 11 looks kind of funky. I'm getting used to this smart board being slightly different and also like only wanting to. I think there's a ghost in this room also. So wait, if 11 equals pi dough, ooh, I was going to forget to use cards. That would not be good. If 11 equals pi dough, Henry, how can I get diameter by itself? Yeah, we get rid of pi through division. Or I guess we could eat the pie. Can you believe Hasani has never had apple pie?
Yeah.
And we're going to agree to use 3.14 so we get the same answers. Now, still, we're going to have to round. We're still going to have to round, but grab a calculator to try this out. What's 11 divided by 3.14? We end up with 3.503, so just about 3.5. Hey, look at the smiley face. the equal. These are the eyes. It's turned sideways.
You can also use like
Yes, back in the day where we had to use like actual punctuation to make emojis because emojis didn't exist. I know, so do I. I know my friends make fun of me. Is that the answer we put in the box? No! Lucy, how do I go from diameter to radius? Divide by 2. Meaning our radius here is going to be 1.75. And then area. Ooh, wait. We said big B times H. Hey guys, you're going to want to write this down so you have this practice somewhere. And if you choose not to write this stuff down in class, I have a lot less sympathy when you come to me whining about you don't know what you're doing. Because you don't know what you're doing because you didn't practice it. The area of our base, our big B, is going to be radius squared times pi. Right? So the work we're going to do is 1.75 squared times 3.14. But then we cannot forget about our height. So we still need to remember there's a times h out here, and there's a... Well, what would the height, if we did the 11 around...
8.5.
Oh, our height then is the remaining 8.5. So go ahead and do that same sort of work for your blue piece of paper up there that gives us the tall cylinder. Multiple times I've suggested giving out graph paper, and Oliver and Alex are the only people writing anything down. Interesting choices. Did you ever take your Chromebook down to the librarian? Because wasn't your Chromebook broken last week and I told you that's probably out? You need to take it down to Miss Pace. Like, not right now, it's not going to class. You need to take it to Miss Pace and tell her that it doesn't work here. She needs to send it in for repair. They are not equal. They do not have equal volumes. So, before a bunch of you go back and change your answers, let's see what we all thought. Ooh! 8 of us thought they'd be equal, and it was 9. I see somebody went back and switched real quick. 8 of us think the short and wide is going to be bigger, and only 2 of us think the tall and thin is going to be the bigger option. Interesting. So if we got to this slide, and if we used our radius of 1.75, what does our volume, that's not the right slides, what does our volume turn into here? What's our volume for our first cylinder? I mean, do 1.75 squared times 3.14 times 8.5. 81.74. 81.7.
It's just 81. You can just put 81.
Are you using pi button or 3.14? Yeah, I mean, they probably accepted 81, but you can probably be a bit more accurate.
Actually, 81.73, 81.5.
Okay, stop with that amount of accuracy.
What?
I said stop with that amount of accuracy.
Well, I thought you said
Because,
60.
no, then it's just getting to the point of like, all right, is that even a piece of popcorn? Right, like if we're going out to the thousandths place, is that even a piece of popcorn?
No.
The bottom one is not the same. It is not, I know it uses the same piece of paper. It is not the same volume. All right, I need help before we got to get out of here. Madeline, for the blue, what would our circumference be when we wrap up that tall piece of paper? The circumference is what measurement? Is it the 8.5 or the 11? It's the 8.5, right? If we look at what got wrapped around, it was the 8.5. So the 8.5 is our circumference. So I'm actually going to squish this so I can write beside here. So if circumference, that's red, that's going to confuse people. If circumference is 8.5, and that's equal to pi times diameter, how do we get back to diameter? Divide by pi. So what's 8.5 divided by 3.14? Basically 2.7. Okay. So then the radius is basically what? So 1.35. Then see if you, on your own, can get to the volume. Do we check the bin? And if not, I don't know where she keeps calculators, but no, the bin, right in front of you. Are there any in there, or did they already take both of them? Maybe you guys can work together. Like, you don't need to each be calculating it. Like, just tell one of your partners to plug it in the calculator. Or maybe one of them could share with you since they're sitting next to each other. All of that say, no, I do not have extra calculators in here. Because it's Howard's room. To make sure it's in the video, from here, we want to find big B. Right? Because we want to multiply big B times H. Big B will be our radius squared times 3.14. Area of a circle, radius squared times pi. Or you can say pi times radius squared. That'll give us our base area, big B. I'm never enough. But I am kind of. Alright, I need some help with this math. 1.35 squared, then times 3.14. Guys, again, this is where I do not expect your brain to be able to do this math. That's silly. Why would we spend our time? Like, I know you could write out what to do, and I know we could we could, but that's silly. We invented calculators to be able to do this for us. Cora, what's our big B? 5.72 inches squared. No naked numbers, right? And then what do I do with big B? No, our volume formula. Volume was big B times height. So its height is 11. So we're going to multiply that by 11. 63. Okay, so hold on. Let's go back and check these. Here, hold on. What did we say? This was 1.75. And what was the volume? 81. And there was something more specific. And then 1.35. Because Owen said it. Perfect popcorn. Guys, not only are they not equal, they're not equal by a lot. You're both talking at the same time without raising a hand, so there's like, okay, Henry. Mm-hmm. It's like the thing we did, if you remember my coffee cans that were like the candies from the candy picker, or whatever we called that activity. I mean, we did it last week. Everyone who has moved past this slide, you all got it right. All right, now I want to see some of the questions people ask, because sometimes this is funny. Why is he putting popcorn in a paper roll? Well, if you don't have anything to hold your popcorn. Did they take the same amount? Hey, look, an actual mathematical question. All right, Zane, if you'd like to make that argument, dude, if you are supposed to wear that, wear it. You came back for 2 minutes of class? Okay. So, yes, Zane is bringing up a good point. If we're actually planning this for a movie theater, all we did was wrap a piece of paper. There's no bottom on our thing yet. So to figure out the actual surface area, we already have all the numbers that we need. What would the bottom, if we're going to try to fill that in, what would the bottom be? What would the bottom be? It's big B, the bottom area. So this is how much more paper we would need to fill in the bottom. Or this is how much more paper we would need to fill in the bottom. Right? Our big, well, we didn't actually go to getting our big B here. But we have our big B. We know how much extra paper we would need. So if they come back to us and say, hey, our popcorn thing needs a bottom, you find your big B. Big B is that bottom of that shape. What's that? Big Bird? Yes.
No, Terrence.
Snuffleupagus. All right, so again, if you did not put this on your paper, I think it's a very interesting choice that you should make a different one. For a prism is what we're dealing with right now. For a prism, volume equals big B times H. Big B is the area of the base shape. Some of you are not going to know how to do this on our mastery next week, and that's going to tell me you did not practice it legitimately, because this practice walks you through finding the volume using big B times H. So, like in B, what's your big B? Yeah, your big B here is a triangle. Now, how do you find triangle area? 1/2 little b times little h. And guys, this is why we use little b when we're talking base times height. Like, that's why we use little b. Big B, like, no matter who you ask, if we're doing 3D geometry, big B is base of, like, the area of the base. Sorry, I was about to say that backwards. Questions about, oh, and height. By the way, guys, height doesn't have to be how tall it is. Height is the distance between your bases. So, sure, if I stand this way, height is how tall it is. But if I flip this way, this is still the height. So here your height is like how tall it is, but it doesn't have to be. Height, like base, doesn't have to be bottom. Height doesn't have to be tall. Height is distance between bases. So you could make that note too, that the height of the prism. Now guys, here's where it gets really complicated. These H's are different. This is the height of your prism. This is the quote-unquote height of your triangle. And remember, in a triangle, your base has to be perpendicular to your height. Your base, so here, your base and your height are these edges. Your base and your height are those edges. All right, get out of here. Have a great day, guys.